Alright, once again, I would like to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Kodash. Double honors unto the apostles of Great Millstone. Salutations unto the hopefully elect. This is Yatazak again, bringing you some more message through the Spirit and power of Yahweh Yahweh Shai. Alright, I will be starting with the book of Leviticus 26 and 17. Alright, Leviticus 26, 17. Say, I will set my face against you, and he shall be slain before your enemies. They that hate you shall reign over you, and he shall flee when none pursueth you. Alright. So who hated us? Alright? Who called us niggers? Or black? Or wetback? Or boy? You know? Let's look what they did to us in slavery. Alright? Look what they did to us in slavery. And today they still are in their mind that, hey, niggers. Look what the police in America is doing to you Israelites, you Negroes, Latinos, and Native. Look at how they treat you like dogs. Don't that tell you something? That do not show that they hate you, man? They hate you. What about the KKK? What about the KKK? Excuse me. Just bear with my minute. Yeah, so the KKK is what they call white supremacy. They call white supremacies, you know. Yeah, a quick video with that.
The Ku Klux Klan. The Klan march may have been cut short, but apparently it helped membership.
Other than the Coke bottle, what's more recognizable than the white hood and robe and the flaming cross?
The government was intended to be of the white man, by the white man, and for the white man.
Mongrel class of people!
Interest in the Ku Klux Klan has swelled and then dwindled. The Klan's power always came and went in phases. Until at one point, the tactics used to gather Klan members together ultimately become the hooks used to drag them down.
The oldest Ku Klux Klan organization in the nation may be out of business.
But what's never gone away is the fear the Klan built its legacy on.
Preserve the racist!
Fear that's still here today. This is Pulaski, Tennessee, and the Ku Klux Klan began back in 1865 on Christmas Eve, when 6 ex-Confederate soldiers met to form a social club. Its name was inspired by the Greek word for circle. Nathan Bedford Forrest was the Klan's first imperial wizard, and the hoods and robes were used to frighten black people in their homes. But then black people start voting, and the Klan and groups like it turn brutal. But the Klan went quiet just years later.
By 1872, all of their goals had been pretty much accomplished, so there wasn't really a need to don a sheet anymore, because you had your person, your guy at the State House who could make laws that would suit your purposes.
In 1915, Birth of a Nation became the first film ever screened at the White House. The book it was based on was written by a friend of then-President Woodrow Wilson.
You know, it's a 3-hour film that poses black men as dangerous and violent, which led to, you know, a decade of racial terror lynchings. And we see that narrative continues to this very day.
The film inspired another war veteran, William J. Simmons, who began to reignite the flames of the Klan, this time against not just blacks, but Catholics, Jewish people, and the nation's newly arriving immigrants.
People are shocked to know that there were, 1 million people in the Ku Klux Klan around the country.
The Ku Klux Klan spread its poisonous influence.
But you had a lot of people, a lot of officials. You had governors, you had senators.
But by the 1930s, the Klan's millions had dwindled to thousands. Here's why.
As the New Jersey Ku Klux Klan rents the camp for one day, cameramen are not permitted to photograph everything.
While the Klan had a national organization, there were copycat groups who fought over funds, dragging each other into court and adding to the growing disgust of the public. The IRS investigated in 1944 and then demanded $500,000 in back taxes. That crippled the Klan, but not for long.
With the advent of the Civil Rights Movement and the Supreme Court order to desegregate in 1954, the Ku Klux Klan sprang back to life.
Robert Shelton's United Klans of America assaulted freedom riders and activists from Birmingham to Anniston. The White Knights of Mississippi were responsible for the murder of 3 civil rights workers. The Klan is responsible for the 1963 Baptist church bombing and the 1965 murder of Mother of 5 Viola Liuzzo. The FBI infiltrated and cracked down on the violence, but violence wasn't the only issue.
You also have those nonviolent actions that were carried out by groups like the White Citizens Council. After Brown v. Board in places like Montgomery, Alabama, where I am, they immediately started these private academies, and to this day, they don't send their kids to school with black kids.
I believe in nonviolence. I think that we should react and we should work and organize as white people.
David Duke tried to popularize a new type of Klansman. He tried to claim they were nonviolent. They were simply all about white people's rights. And he was photogenic, and he got a lot of publicity, and his Klan group started growing.
And then comes leaders like Bill Wilkinson and Fraser Glenn Miller Jr. The numbers were smaller than before, but the violence still left people dead. To investigate and go after the Klan, Klan Watch director Randall Williams attended several rallies.
There is an odd, happy white supremacy family atmosphere to some of this activity. If you go to a Klan rally on a Saturday afternoon, they're having a fish fry. It almost looks benign.
But the KKK's symbols made their members...
So basically, point that I'm trying to get out of the video, alright, is that they hate you. Alright, let me take in the next video here.
But John Henry Falk may have experienced the most profound effect. He was a graduate student when he interviewed the former slaves, including the 2 women you hear in this broadcast. Himself interviewed just before he died in 1979, Falk was going on about how he believed in giving blacks the right to go to school, giving them the right to vote, giving them the right to go into anything they qualified for. And then he said he experienced an epiphany.
I was sitting out on a wagon tongue with this old black man, and was telling him what a different kind of white man I was. I remember him looking at me very sadly and kind of sweetly and condescending and said, you still got the disease, honey. I know you think you're cured, but you're not cured. You can't give me the right to be a human being. I'm born with that right. Now, you can keep me from having that. If you've got all the policemen and all the jobs on your side, you can deprive me of it. But you can't give it to me, because I was born with it just like you was. My God, God, it had a profound effect on me. I was furious with him. But the more I reflected on it, the more profoundly it affected me. And I realized this was where it really was.
Tell you the truth, when I think of it today, I don't know how I'm living.
I remember that just as well look like to me, I can.
Been slaves all our lives, and mother was a slave, and sister was a slave, father was a slave.
They know nothing about reading right there. All that I know, they teach you to mind your master and your missus. Mom and them didn't know where to go. You see, after she would go, just like he turned something out, you know, didn't know where to go.
They are haunting voices from the past. Not actors reading a script or scholars reading a text, but the actual voices of men and women, Americans, who were born in slavery.
My name is Fountain Hughes. I was born in Charlottesville, Virginia. My grandfather belonged to Thomas Jefferson. My grandfather was 115 years old when he died. And now I am 101 years old. Some people didn't have no beds when they were slaves. You all slept on the floor. Sat up here, sat up there. Just like a lot of wild people. We didn't know nothing. Didn't like to look at no book.
Harriet Smith, remembering what she saw as a small girl during the final days of the Civil War.
We said all that, stood on that picket fence.
So, you understand? So, if you is a slave, what I mean, your masters love you. If somebody who capture you and put you in slavery, that means they love you. Alright? You can't even start to think about the brutalities, the levels of wickedness that they have done unto our people. They can't even start to fathom that. And if you look at the people who was in slavery, it was what? Jacob, Israelites, Negroes, Latinos, and Native. Alright? Not no unknown type of human being. Alright? We still today being looked down. Why do they call us niggers? Why do they look at us like as a bunch of niggers? We're black. We are not black. Different shades are brown. That's who we are. The word black means to be void of light. We are not void of light. That's why he call himself a white man. He don't know white man. The word white man is just a social construct. There's no white man. Where in the Bible do you see a white man? Alright.
All day long.
Alright. Just so.
I've seen them soldiers going back to San Antonio, different places. Colored soldiers in Joe. That's right along by our house. Our home is a two-story house, a white house.
These recorded memories were among thousands of interviews done with ex-slaves in the 1930s and 40s.
Can you remember slavery days very well?
Of course, I remember all our white folks. All the names of them, all the children. Call every one of the children's names.
Who did you belong to?
Jim Button, the baby boy.
The results of these digitally enhanced recordings are arresting, almost unbelievable. The idea of hearing the voices of actual slaves from the plantations of the Old South is as powerful, as startling really, as if you could hear Abraham Lincoln or Robert E. Lee speak. Listen again to Fountain Hughes, who was born in 1848.
We were slaves. We belonged to people. They sell us like they sell horses and cows and hogs and all like that. Have an auction bench and they put you up on the bench and bid on you, the same as you're bidding on cattle, you know.
Much of what these three former slaves say may at first seem unremarkable. Much of what they say may surprise and upset. And their calm demeanor is at odds with the evil and violence we associate with slavery. Here is 91-year-old Texan Laura Smalley talking in the 1940s about the outcome of a tussle between two women, one black, one white, one slave, one mistress. The mistress tried to slap the slave, but the black woman pushed her into a chair. Laura Smalley was a girl at the time, but she remembers vividly what happened to the black woman when the master came home.
Well, they take that old woman, poor old woman, cat in the peach orchard and whipped her. And, just tied her hand this way, around the peach orchard tree. I remember that just as well, looked like to me, I can't. And round the tree and whipped her. And, well, she couldn't do nothing but just kick her feet, just kick her feet. But it just had her clothes all down to her waist, They didn't have her plumb naked, but they had her clothes down to her waist. And every now and then they'd whip her, and then snuff the pipe out on her, snuff the pipe out on her. The embers in the pipe. Where you ever see the pipe smoking.
Blow them out on her? Good Lord.
The plantation on which Smalley was a slave sounds brutal. She recalls scrambling with other children for food from a huge wooden tray, like a hog trough.
All of them, would get around that tray with spoons and eat. It would sit like mush or soup or something like that. And all them children get around there and just eat.
Fountain Hughes tells his interviewer about the relentless round of work for him on a Virginia plantation.
Night never comes out. You had nothing to do. Time to cut tobacco. If they want you to cut all night long out in the field, you cut. And if they want you to hang all night long, you hang tobacco. It didn't matter about your tired, being tired, you're afraid to say you're tired.
It was cotton, not tobacco, that solidified slavery, though. The invention of the cotton gin at the end of the 18th century made its processing easy, but the crop still needed enormous amounts of unskilled labor. Control of the slave and his labor through laws and regulations became paramount. Fountain Hughes talks about one of those controls, the pass system.
Now, I couldn't go from here across the street, or I couldn't go to nobody's house without I have a note or something from my master. And if I had that pass, that's what we call a pass. If I had that pass, I could go wherever he sent me, and I'd have to be back. When whoever he sent me to, they'd give me another pass, and I'd bring that back to show how long.
Even emancipation didn't truly free the slaves. Freedom freed slaves for more travail. The end of the Civil War found many cast adrift without skills and no place to go. And the Yankees who freed them weren't always seen as benevolent liberators.
I remember when the Yankees come along and took all the good horses and sold all the meat and flour and sugar and stuff out in the river and let it go down the river. And they know the people wouldn't have nothing to live.
So don't Esau have to pay for this? Don't Esau have to pay for this? These crimes?
But they done that.
The ex-slaves left one hell for another, perhaps an even more dangerous one. No longer property, they didn't have the protections afforded property.
When we were slaves, we couldn't do that. See? And if we got free, we didn't know nothing to do. And my mother, she hunted places and bound us out for $1 a month. But we didn't have no property. We didn't have no home. We had nowhere, nothing. We didn't have nothing on it. Just like cattle, we just turned out and get along the best you could.
In Texas, the slaves weren't told they were free until 2 months after the war ended. Smalley remembers that her masters gave the slaves a dinner, and then they were free.
I don't hide the other side of the folks, free. We didn't know. They just thought, we're just feeding us, Some of them didn't know where to go. You see, after freedom broke, just like he turned something out, didn't know where to go. But just where to stay. Didn't know where to go. Turn us out just like, you turn out cattle.
In the narratives, the slaves used an interesting phrase for the end of slavery. They say, when the break came. Good times, easy times were not at hand. The trials for millions of black Americans didn't end in 1865. They continued. Laura Smalley and her family became sharecroppers. Harriet Smith's first husband was killed by whites during the Reconstruction, probably because of his political organizing. Fountain Hughes went north to Baltimore and worked at numerous jobs, including hauling manure. Not an enviable job, but it was the job of a free man.
So, boy, oh boy, somebody got to pay for that. You so-called white people, you're gonna have to pay for that. So I hope that this was edifying. I'd say inshallah.